כימי מארץ מצרים, so the pasuk says in Micha, the Navi says, like the days I took you out of Mitzrayim, I'll show you wonders. Zoya Pashas Mishpatim. So it says in Zoya Pashas Mishpatim, what is the equivalence here between Yetzias Mitzrayim and Lasid Lavoi, the future redemption, V'hai Ihu, and what is it? Answers the Zoya, but that in as follows: the Benisan Nigulu, that the redemption of its Mitzrayim was in Nisan, Ubenisan Asidin Ligoy. And in the future, the Yidden are destined to be redeemed in Nisan. So that's the equivalence. That's what it says in Zoya Pashas Mishpatim. But Zoya Pashas Shmois, and in Zoya Pashas Shmois, Sheshom Mavai Baruch HaProter in Yonim. There he goes into detail and explains what's going to be She'iva Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu, Yov Yigalinu, may he come and redeem us, Messiah. So there, the Zoya in Pashas Mishpatim says as follows: called Osin v'Nisin v'Kuvro'on, all of the signs and wonders and mighty deeds, the Avad Kutchabricha b'Mitzrayim, that the Eibishter did in Egypt, Yavid Eloin Yisrael, he'll do for the Yidden in the future. Gedom, as the pasuk says, quoting our pasuk, according to pasuk we began the Maamar with. So we see from these two sources, mashma, when comparing the two, Yetzias Mitzrayim and the final redemption, Sha'ikar Yetzias Mitzrayim. From these psukim and the way the Zohar, rather from this pasuk and the way these two quotes from the Zohar explain it, it comes out that the main thing is Yetzias Mitzrayim. What's the pasuk coming to tell us? What's novel? That there will also be in the final redemption the same month and the same wonders, miracles, and mighty deeds. However, this contradicts the Maamar Pashas Tzeischo. So the Zohar and Pashas Tzeischo bepirish and niflois in explaining the words, I will show you wonders. Kosev haramez, the Ramez, that Moishe Zukato writes, Pirish on the Zohar. He explains the Zohar to mean there as follows: Shekavonas haZohar levayir, that the Zohar means to explain in Pashas Tzeischo, so Ilui shel Gula Hasida, the greatness, the virtue of the final redemption, the Gabi Gula Mitzrayim, compared to the previous redemption, Yetzias Mitzrayim. Shalel Nemar, about the wondrous difference, the pasuk says, Aran and the Flois, I'll show you wonders. The wonders are then, not by Yetzias Mitzrayim. The wonders go on exclusively the final redemption. So it's very different and opposite pirush. The first pirush is that the Niflois happened by Yetzias Mitzrayim. You'll have the same when Mashiach comes. Here he's saying no, that in the second Zohar, the third Zohar, the Niflois refer exclusively to the wonders, to the final redemption. And he explains as follows. That's why it says Belos and Nister. It doesn't say to whom he will show the wonders. I'll show you wonders, but I'll show wonders. The pasuk starts in second person. Kımi Tzeischo, as you went out of Egypt, so the pasuk should have concluded, I will show you wonders. But it concludes, as it were, in Lashon Nista, which means not defining who it's being addressed to. Why? So it explains the Ramez, because this is to tell us exactly what the nature of these revelations the revelations will be then. Namely, Al Pi Yadu, in light of that, which is known, She'ef Shel Hamshich Oira Pnimius Mipnimius Atik. Currently, certainly, we cannot draw down the divine revelation that comes from Pnimius Atik. We explained what Atik means in the previous Maamar several times, right? V'gam b'Pnimius Abba shechoshev k'Pnimius Atik. And even Pnimius Abba, which is the inner level of Chachma, which is reckoned like the inner level of Atik, this, I'm just going to say one word, the essential levels of the divine. So we cannot draw that down ad she'yav HaMashiach till Mashiach comes. And that's why he uses Arenu, I will show, but not I will show you. Since it's a level that it's not known and not revealed, Yitzdak loimer olav, the pasuk is justified in saying about that revelation, Arenu, I will show, belosh it, belosh nister, I will show it. But what is it? undefined, and not to whom. Shema Shahaya Nelem Ad Ato, what the pasuk is saying, that which is concealed till now, that will be revealed. Yira la'isa hada will be shown to that generation of redemption. So the Ramez is explaining the Zohar in Parshas Kisei as explaining that Lasid Lova is going to be a wondrous revelation that was never revealed yet, and therefore can't even be said about it, show you, because it has no connection to you right now. But that will be revealed when Mashiach comes, far beyond, therefore, Yetzias Mitzrayim. So we're left with a contradiction. He continues. The explanation of the Ramez on the Zohar and Parshas Kisei accords with the explanation of Tzemach Tzedek from the Pri Eitz Chaim, who writes, "Sharen niflois hainu b'chinas bina ema ilo." That Aren niflois, what level above is it? The supernal level of bina, the supernal mother, right? Chachma is father, bina is mother. Bina develops, Chachma is the seed. So bina, the ima ilo, is this lofty level. It explains the Tzemach Tzedek. Ella, Shabitzias Mitzrayim, this is what he says, the difference between Yetzias Mitzrayim and Lasid Lova. By Yetzias Mitzrayim, Hayozeh, Al Yedam Shochem Bina b'Malchus. So there was a revelation of this level which we're tagging as Bina, as Ima Ilah. But where was it revealed? In Malchus, which is a very containing expression of the divine. Lasid Lova Ishiyah Kinosh Shmoine Nimin. But Lasid Lova is opposed to King David's harp. The harp of Mashiach will be of 8 strings. That's why they called themselves 8th day. It's partially because of this. It'll be the pure level of Bina. Bina is a true Bina means endless expansion. That's what Bina means. That's why the song of Hanukkah, which is 8 days, we don't sing the song, but the rest of the world does. B'nei Bina Yumei Shmeina Kavu Shir Ura Nananim. The people of understanding, Bina established the 8 days of Hanukkah. Because Bina is endless expansion, and 8 is the symbolic of the infinite beyond the cycle of nature, which is 7. So Bina Atzma. So that's what the Tzemach Tzedek says. The Yetzias Mitzrayim, Bina was filtered through Malchus. But Lasid Lova, this Bina, the Ima Ilah, the supernal Bina, will be revealed in its uncompromised state. V'nimtza. And stop. So he's just saying, we're following this, that it's a Tzemach Tzedek's Pirush accords, dovetails with the Zohar in Parshas Kisei, as explained by the Ramez. So we're left with a contradiction in understanding the pasuk. So there's 2 Pirushim. The Pirushim of the Zohar in Mishpatim, and also Parshas Shmos, and the Pirush of the Zohar in Parshas Kisei. So the 2 Pirushim are different. In summary, it will be, will Lasid Lova be the same as his Mitzrayim, or infinitely more wondrous? That's a contradiction we're left with in understanding this very same pasuk. A similar contradiction, I think he's going to say, point out, is we find in the pasuk Hafach Yom Layabosha. So the pasuk says in Tehillim, Kapitel Samach Vav, describing Kriyas Yamsuf, which is of course the culmination of Yetzias Mitzrayim. So Hafach Yom Layabosha, the pasuk says, God transformed the sea into dry land. Benohar, in the river, Yavu Barogal, they passed or will pass on foot, or they passed, can read in the past tense. Shom Nismachaboy, there we rejoice in him. What's the pasuk say? Shegam boy is beish pirushim hafchim l'chayda. Here too we find similarly 2 opposite explanations. V'shneim huva b'Torah, and both are brought in the Alter Rebbe's Torah. What's that? Pirish Aleph. So one Pirish, he brings as follows. Shekol HaPosek koi b'Kriyas Yamsuf. The entire Posek is a description of Kriyas Yamsuf. Namely, Shezoin Yin Hafach Yom Le'ebosha. So the Posek begins by saying he turned the sea to dry land. Moshe as the Posek says, describing Kriyas Yamsuf. In Parshas B'Shalach, Vayosem Es Hayom Lecharova, he turned the sea, he placed the sea into dry land, Vayivoko Hamayim, and the sea split. V'oz, and still talking about the past, Al Posek, this Posek in Tilim, Kapitel Tzamach Vav continues, Benor Yavr Barogel, they passed through the river on foot, so the sea is called a river. Kamashikosov, the Pasuk says again in B'Shalach, the Jewish people came into the sea on the dry land. And the Pasuk includes Shom there, all describing the past. Baby rejoiced in him. Summary, first Pirush, it refers to Kriyas Yamsuf. Pirush Abbez, the second Pirush, the Masha Kosov Shom Nismechavoi. The Pasuk emphasizes there we rejoice in him. Why there? It's talking about the subject of Kriyas Yamsuf. Shom Daike, there, the Pasuk is Medaik to point out, it's extra that word. We're talking about the subject of Kriyas Yamsuf. So the second Pirush is something different entirely. When you say there, you mean something that's not revealed, it's distant and concealed. So what's the Pirush now in the Pasuk? Because then the joy in God was a muted, concealed joy, because God's not fully revealed even then. That's why it's Shom. There we rejoiced in him. There, not defining it because it's distant, metaphorically. But when will that be revealed, that level that was there in a screened way will be revealed last? When? Then we will cross the river. That's not referring to Kriyas Yamsuf. That's the river will cross when Mashiach comes, which is a famous prophecy. The referring to the splitting of the river, not the ocean. So the first pasuk calls the ocean a river. The second pasuk, that's the first pirush, sorry. The second pirush is saying the pasuk is describing two things. First, Yetzias Mitzrayim, and then finally, the Geula with that which was concealed, Yetzias Mitzrayim, will be revealed. So the river refers to the final crossing. This is the haftarah of Achron Shepesach. If God will wave his hand on the river, and smite it into 7 streams, etc. We've learned many Ma'amarim on this and all the explanations, the beautiful explanations of the detail of that prophecy. So the summary of this is basically we have a contradiction in explaining the pasuk Kemei Tzeischo and the flows. So the first pirush equates Yetzias Mitzrayim ben Lasid Lavai. The second pirush does not, and says Lasid Lavai is immeasurably greater. Likewise, we have 2 different pirushim in this very pasuk of Hafach Yom Le'ebosha B'Ha Navri B'Rogel Shom Nismechavoi, but it's referring entirely, in its entirety, the pasuk to Yetzias Mitzrayim, or no, it starts off referring to Yetzias Mitzrayim, pointing out that there was a concealment there, relatively speaking, and that will be fully revealed, Lasid Lavai, when you cross the river, the Euphrates River, physically, but it's all meant Baruchnius. Okay, so that's clear. These are the questions. Now we give the answer. Ois base. Okay, we'll learn this further together. Excuse me, I didn't get a chance to learn it. Just to glance at one thing as I'll share with you. Got back from the oil very late last night. Well, actually, I should say this morning. So we need a heavy caffeine injection, infusion. Okay. But you've called there. So it's explained all of this in light of a Maimer, and he adds in brackets. This happened several times, 1964. That's in a bundle of manuscripts that till now was in captivity, which could mean just came out of Russia, or someone had it and finally gave it to the Rebbe.
Is the Alter Rebbe's?
Yeah, it's going to tell us in a second. Yeah, the Alter Rebbe. Yeah. I didn't see the hair. Maybe it's this week's the hair, but there's a whole story there in the hair, and someone just sent me a copy of it. My cousin Asher Kluvgand, how my great uncle been seeing Kluvgand in Russia. Gave how they got it from him. He never came out of Russia. How they got from him the Zohar that the Rebbe's father had written his notes on. The Rebbe Khan had left it with my great uncle, been seeing Kluvgand. It's an amazing story how they got it. And Pinya Altois, another great uncle, but through marriage, brought it to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe spoke about it at the Fabrengen months later, 1962 Bishvat, and also uses the same language there and beautiful explanation of his father being written Dafkin Golos and now being redeemed. This happened fairly frequently, as we have noted in our study of the Mamorim. So the Rebbe is saying, we're going to answer all of the above based on the Maimer, which is found in the Bichel, literally a book. These are handwritten manuscripts. Till now they were in captivity. And they were deemed of late in the mitzvah of redeeming captives. Or Kenira, and it appears, says our Rebbe, that it's from Maimer Shabin Azokin. It appears that this is the Alter Rebbe is a Maimer, not his handwriting, but a Maimer of the Alter Rebbe, not that he wrote. It would be obvious if he wrote it was his, but it seems like it is the Alter Rebbe's Maimer. Shehoyer Gam Eitzal Tzemach Tzedek. Someone had written it up, but it was by the Tzemach Tzedek V'rosham Olav HaGoisav, and on this manuscript are the notations of the Tzemach Tzedek. So this is Mamish. A Maimer of the Alter Rebbe's notes the Rebbe just received. It came to his hand just sometime before Pesach. We don't know when exactly, but or who gave it, where it came from. Either Russia, I said, or someone had it and was holding on to it and finally relinquished it to its rightful owner, the Rebbe's library. So what does the Maimer says? There are the Pasuk. So the Pasuk says, describing Kriyas Yamsuf as follows: Vahi onon, there was the thick cloud separating the Yidden and the Mitzrayim, the Yidden on the banks of the Yamsuf. So there was the thick cloud, the divine cloud that separated them, and the darkness, Vayoras Aloyla, and it illuminated the light. So the divine cloud illuminated the light for the Yidden, and the Egyptians, of course, were in darkness. It was night. Pirush Vayoer, and it illuminated Koi ala onan v'acheshech. So this darkness and this cloud did the illumination. Right, the divine cloud, which is a cloud, is dark by nature. Shacheshech heyeres alayla, the night itself illuminated. I'm sorry, the darkness illuminated the night for the Eden. But Tzeischo, you have to understand, what does that mean? How does it mean that the darkness illuminated Mela, the cloud, because it was a pillar of fire at night? So that's in Pshat. That's the Pshat. That the cloud illuminated. But here the Alter Rebbe is saying that it's from the Pasuk. Not just the divine fiery cloud, but the darkness itself illuminated the light, the night, sorry. What does that mean? You have to understand that explains, asks the Alter Rebbe. Mamshich, the Alter Rebbe continues in that Maimer. In order to understand that, Yesh lahaktim ha-posek hofach yom b'yaboshe shom b'suchvoi. The posek we just looked at, Kapitel Samach Vov. He transformed the sea to darkness there, shom. That was the whole diuk there, which means not here, but there, which means distant, metaphorically. Pirish shom lashon nister. Shom there means something that's hidden, not revealed to us, not tangibly revealed to us. The haino meaning a level of maila. So lofty, there's a bechinas helem v'hester, it's completely and utterly concealed from us. So we're going to explain that Inyan explains the Alter Rebbe, and that will answer what it means that the darkness illuminates the night. All to be seen, Gimel. Let's see, friends. Mamshech b'maimer, the Alter Rebbe continues in the Maimer. Excuse me. Lahavin said, understand this. We first have to explain. I just glanced at this. Masha ein shalmi simcha b'shvi Pesach. Okay, what does this mean? This is not what I looked up because I was going to say this statement is a strange statement. I'll tell you why. And they tell us in the footnote that it's explained at length in the Sikha after the Maimers. I just glanced at the bottom line. It's a whole arichus. Just to give you the general idea, on Yom Tov, a year has to bring 3 korbanos in the base of Mikdash. Is Oilei Sri'iyah is number 1. Number 2, Shalmei Chagiga. And number 3, Shalmei Simcha. Oila Sri'iyah. So Oila, as you know, means a korban that's completely consumed, ascends, hence the word Aliyah, on the Mizbeach. Not the Jew who brings it, nor the Kohanim who sacrifice and offer it on his behalf, eat of its meat. It's completely consumed on the Mizbeach. Mind you, the Kohanim would get the hides, but that's it. That's number 1. And that is brought, it's called Oilei Sri'iyah. Oila means again, a korban oila, it's completely consumed on the Mizbeach. Riyah means to see. That's in fulfillment of the mitzvah, the commandment to see and be seen by God in the Sholish Regolim in the base of Mikdash. The Jew had to appear there and behold the divine, and the divine God beheld him to see and be seen. It's a beautiful idea. The Pasuk doesn't just say, go and see. The Pasuk is saying, Poshet, God says, I want to see you there. There's a Meidike teaching right there. It's right there at a halachic Pasuk level. Mitzvahs are not just for us. Go there and see and be inspired, earn your reward or whatever. It's, I want to see you there. Mitzvahs is my desire, says God, to be connected to you. Meidike vart. Just occurs to me as I'm speaking to you in my partially foggy state. Look into that further. You know, this whole idea of Hashem, I mean, whole karbonis is really that. The Pasuk says that karbonis are a pleasing aroma to God. Now, before Chassidus, it's not, nothing pleases or vexes him. It's just language that God employs to motivate us to do mitzvahs. Like a teacher in the classroom will feign displeasure or excitement just to motivate the kids, their students. Chas v'sholom to say, before Chassidus, it was a chas v'sholom to say that God's affected. Many psukim declare that's not possible. And Hashem leishanisi. Yet karbonis at the pashtus level, reich nechech Hashem, and likewise here, the mitzvah of re'iyah, So as I mentioned many times, the deep explanations of Chassidus that reveal the essence of Torah and God are expressed in the simplest translation of the verses. No, it means God is deriving nachas, and He wants to see you. Because before Chassidus, we had to explain it. No, it doesn't really mean that. It's not literal. It's just in order for. No, Chassidus reveals. Panemius, it's true. Medidika thing. Okay, let's get back to the point here. So that's the first kind of korban the Jew had to bring. It was a oila seriyah. Then the Jew had to bring shalmei chagiga. Korban shlomim, peace offerings are so called because everybody gets to eat a piece of it. Excuse the pun. Causes peace, shalom. Part is consumed on the mizbeach, the inner organs are consumed on the mizbeach, and the meat is divided. Part to the kohen, which the pasuk identifies in detail, and the Jew eats part of it as well. So it brings peace to the world between all of the components, God, the kohen, and the Jew. And that's in honor of Yom Tov, Shalmei Chagiga. That's in celebration of Yom Tov. And thirdly is Shalmei Simcha. Again, peace offerings. But in order to rejoice that you and your family and the poor and your guests rejoice with you. That's the source that in halacha, that on Yom Tov one is to buy new clothing, if one can afford it, and give delicacies and gifts to one's wife and children, because the Torah talks about Shalmei Simchas, you, your wife and your family should rejoice in the Yom Tov. So it's obligatory on Yom Tov to buy things for the wife and children that they should rejoice in the Yom Tov. It's all based on the Shalmei Simcha. It's also the source that we should drink a cup of wine throughout Yom Tov, Chol HaMoed, because this obligation is throughout the entire Yom Tov. To rejoice throughout the entire Yom Tov. Okay, there's many details to this whole obviously this halacha. Now let's have a look and see what the Rebbe is saying here, quoting from the Alter Rebbe. It's a strange statement. Look at it. Look at it again. Start Eis Gimel. Be'ezer Hashem, I will learn the whole sichel. The Rebbe that explains it. It's pages long. Strangely, it was never. Why they didn't submit it to make it mug and put it in Kodesh Sichas? I don't know. It's a beautiful nigdasich. Anyway, I see it's very long, and we'll see. But let's get to the bottom line. I glanced to the conclusion, so I'll share it with you. To understand this, all the questions we asked before, contradictions in the pasuk, understanding the pasuk. What does it mean? The darkness illuminates the night. So to understand all of this, in Shalmei Simcha b'Shvi Shel Pesach. On Shvi Shel Pesach, there's this third category, no Shalmei Simcha. Now the Rebbe explains, there is. You are eating on Shvi Shel Pesach meat and celebrating of the korban, and nowadays meat mamish. It's also the source to eat meat on Yom Tov. Drink wine. I mentioned wine, but first and foremost meat. Not Shabbos. Shabbos is the food is fish. That's the Shabbos food. Dag. Dalet Gimel 7. Shabbos. I'm discussed in the hidden world. That's Shabbos. But Yom Tov, the Indian is basar. Dog and basar. Al kaponim, you do eat. So the Rebbe says it's not basically it's not an independent Yom Tov, independent chiyuv. The meat that we eat on Shvi Shel Pesach, even though Shvi Shel Pesach is another Yom Tov, it's not a new chiyuv. You should have brought the Shalmei Simcha before, and if you didn't, you could bring it now. You're certainly eating it now. To be clear, the question of bringing the korban, bringing the Shalmei Simcha, there's no independent Yom Chiyuv to bring on the 7th day of Pesach these Shalmei Simcha, these festive, rejoicing, not festive, that's Chagiga, rejoicing offerings. If you brought them before, you continue to eat the meat on Shvi Shel Pesach. You don't have to bring a korban on Shvi Shel Pesach. If you didn't, you will. If you ran out of meat, or you didn't bring it before. But if you have from previously, there's no chiyuv. But on Shmini Atzeres, there's a chiyuv to bring Shalmi Simcha independently. To Chag HaSukkos, I need to look at it inside. But on Chag HaSukkos, so you're saying it's Tashlumin. Shvi Shal Pesach, you would bring the korban only if you didn't bring it earlier, the Shalmi Simcha. But on Chag HaSukkos, the obligation to bring these celebratory korbanos are Kol Yemei HaChag. Each day has that chiyuv. On Pesach, it's the first day, or any day. Thereafter, you can make up for it. But on Sukkot, it's an independent chiyuv every day. And in brackets, Koilel, Gam Shmini Atzeres Shurek B'fnei Atzma. Even Shmini Atzeres is an independent Yom Tov. You're not eating you have meat left over. It's a separate mitzvah Shmini Atzeres to bring the korban and rejoice with it with your family and the poor, etc. That's very clear. The obligation is the first day. And you'll have meat for the whole Yom Tov. The rest of the Yom Tov is only if you didn't, so you'll bring it on Yom Tov. The Nimtza, so it comes out that in the first place, you're not bringing the holidays celebratory korban, the third one, on Shvisha Pesach. You only do if you didn't previously. So the question kind of is, it's Yom Tov. Why isn't there an obligation on Shvisha Pesach to bring Shalmi Simcha like there is every day of Sukkot, mind you, and Shmini Atzeres? All right, so that's the basic question, which I'll give you, God willing, further detail after having learned through several pages of that Sikha. Be'ez Hashem. All right, let's go a bit further. Yeah? Everybody's following? Everything turned out good. Looks like it's a beautiful maamar. Every maamar is beautiful, but in a scholar avoid, it's a long maamar, friends. Let's continue. As many of you pointed out, the point of learning Chassidus is not to cover ground and learn another maamar, finish it, learn another one. Although there is an inyan to just to know, to learn a lot. It's a chiyuv to learn the whole Torah. And that's not so much why we're learning, friends. We're learning to plug in. Doesn't matter what we're learning and how much we learn. As long as we're learning and we take it into a pnimius. For those that weren't here for yesterday's shir, I encourage you to listen to it because we translated it very practically, the message of the maamar, even and especially perhaps in relationship with our spouses. So listen to yesterday's maamar, which is uploaded to the Fabrengen chat. Right? Was it? I'm sure it was. Okay, let's continue the answer. So Maktim Levai the Alter Rebbe, this is all quoting from the Alter Rebbe from this manuscripts that were just redeemed. Maktim Levai the Inyan the Shalmi Simcha. So the Alter Rebbe explains this third category of korbanos. Again, there's the Oiles Re'iyah, Shalmi Chagiga, and Shalmi Simcha. So he explains Shalmi Simcha shekosher machiv hasimcha b'yom b'toivim. Right, as we said, what are these korbanos for? It's all part of the obligation to rejoice, be happy on Yom Tov. Shehem, which are moyadim, appointed days, l'simcha, for joy. So what's the korban got to do with it? Because v'ein simcha ele b'basar. A human being, his true joy is only with meat and with wine. As I said, that's why the Torah mandates to bring this third category. You be happy and celebrate and have the best meal possible, and that's meat. So now the Alter Rebbe's question. Really? The L'chayda given and it appear given what's Yom Tov? It's a big barbecue. What's Yom Tov? Australian kids, barbecue is a big part, not just in the summer, a big part of our lives. Going to the beach and then a barbecue. This is what Yom Tov is. Yom Tov says the pasuk The appointed days, Moed means an appointed day. Of God, Havaya, Elohim, and another pasuk, Elohim Moyadoi, these are my appointed days, says Hashem. So Gewalt, in a moving. So what are we saying? How do you celebrate God, the Eibishter's day? How is it possible that the simchas of the appointed day is dedicated to Hashem? And the pasuk says, Elohim Moyadoi, these are my appointed days. How do you celebrate? I should be happy and have a good steak lunch or steak dinner. That's what it comes down to. Ask the Alter Rebbe. But and especially where? I'm sorry. I was going to say especially in the Beis Hamikdash. That's not the question. But so we're talking about a yid as he's already here, the mata in a physical body dealing with the nefesh haba'amis, which is not just gashmi, but they're chumri, they're coarsely materialistic. Chaimer means material. Chamor is a donkey. Why is a chamor called a donkey? The same basis as material, because the chamor is the symbolism of stubbornness. You can't budge a donkey if he doesn't want to move. You can't entice him. Because that's the nature of physicality. It holds its ground. No room for you. It's just me. I'm not moving because you want me to. So Chaimer is Gashmi said it's most corporeal level. So the question is, how can the physical body, which Takan enjoys meat, how do we receive spiritual joy? Which is what this day is. Elam Moedei Hashem. The Neshama is thrust into a body, and the body is physical. So the mitzvah is not celebrate that the body should be happy. It's the Yid. It's my day. It's my day Havaya. So we're talking to the Neshama of the Jew. And the Neshama is part of Hashem. So how does the Neshama have the simcha? Through eating meat? What? This is the joy. Sit and learn, daven. Fabreng maybe, but eat meat. All right, so that's just going to explain, I see here very beautifully, the whole unit of karbanis and eating meat, etc., and what that means in Avodas Hashem. All right, friends, so that tomorrow, God willing, on Zoom again, so Tali will see you tomorrow, and Fred, who else is there? But I'll be there, God willing, in person, going back today at some point. Sorry, no,
Thank you very much.
Mate, I have a story quickly that happened that I saw. Well, there's lots of stories that are Moishe Ketlarsky. Many, many stories with him and the Rebbe. Chaim, you want to share one? Do you read anything? I'm sure it'll be all over CRL, etc. over the next week's very sad day. He was very devoted on a very personal level. I'll tell you, he was involved mamish personally in people's lives and helping Pashit on all levels for shluchim, and not just shluchim, but that was his shlichus. He was traveling constantly, shluchim financially, and challenges and shlichus and all kinds of things. He had a phenomenal memory, phenomenal. Didn't forget anything, and he carried them in his heart. He lived very simply, my friends. You'd be astounded to see how he lived in his house. And he was privy to his Lubavitch's biggest fundraiser, and he could have lived a very, very much more comfortable life had he so chosen, but lived a very humble life. A true, true friend to thousands of people, really. Hundreds and if not thousands of people. Hashem should comfort and strengthen his family, and the only comfort ultimately is Mashiach's coming and all of us reunited. May it happen today without delay. Amen. Have a wonderful day, everybody. See you tomorrow.